Hi everyone, we're going over database functions today. Database functions has been around for a long period of time, at least for the last two revisions of Excel that I know of, before Office 365 that came in. So we had these things for a long time. Let's see what they are. Database functions are designed to perform simple operations on data, that is, in a database structure like. Database structure like is very much the same as the table that you're seeing on a Excel. That is, your rows are your records and your columns are your fields. Database functions are for manipulating and managing your tables much more efficiently. There are several functions that we have in Excel: DAVERAGE, DCOUNT, DCOUNT-A, DGET, DMAX, min, and so on and so forth. Today we can only go over 4 of these functions. And fortunately, database functions follow the same syntax. For example, DSUM is the command, the function name. Then you have your database, which is your data coming from, field, which is field that you're looking for, and then the criteria, where the criteria is located. And that criteria could be a range of cells. Advantages and disadvantages: easy to create and modify filter and target column without updating formulas. Another advantage is easy to manage complex filters, and a single named range is enough in most cases. Supports and an OR logic. Disadvantages are data must have headers and a little bit of learning curve. So let's go to live demo. Before we start, what I suggest to everyone is try to give your data a name. In this case, I'm just going to highlight my data from A1 to J59. Okay, that is called my data. And also I'm going to give my criteria range and name as well. And I call this one my CR. Let's try this. After I named my ranges in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and try to look for summation of the fields for unit cost, unit sold, sales price, gross sales. Now, how can we do this? Equal sign, DSUM. What is my database? Start from, and by the way, you have to start with your headings. I can go all the way down to right here. I can do this to put my database, or I can use the name that I already created for it. So I'm probably going to use my data in this case. That would be much easier. Comma. What field am I using in this case? Either I can click on unit cost itself, which is D1, or I can type it as in a quotation mark unit cost, the name of the header, or I can actually use 1, 2, 3, fourth is the fourth column. I can do that one. I just type in 4 for that one. The best way is just using D1 in this case, because I would like to copy this one across, comma. What is my criteria? I define my criteria, highlight this one, okay, to the end, or I can use my criteria name that I already gave. So I'm probably going to use my criteria name, close parentheses, and here it is, the unit cost for all of the products that we have is going to be 1109.57 because we have no criteria in this case. If I'm looking for country of France, therefore my unit cost will change. Since I create those things using the field names, range names in this case, I can go right ahead and copy this one across. And as you can see, for units sold would be the same thing. and it is looking for E1, and this is correct, E1. And for the next one, sales price would be F1, and gross sale will be G1. Perfect. All right. Now, same thing we have for DSUM. It will work the same way for average, the average, and for the highest we're looking for DMAX, and lowest we're looking for DMIN. So let's try that one for those. You say equal sign the average. Now, since I have this, let's open up the function and then see if that function that you're opening up it does the same exact thing. For the database, my data, and the field in this case is unit cost. So unit cost is D1, or I could have just typed in unit cost. But since I'm going to copy this one down, I'm lazy, so I'm trying to let the computer do most of the job for me. So I'm just going to put in D1. And criteria is from the segments, it goes all the way down to the end in here. Therefore, I'm just, I defined it before, so I called it my CR. So I'm just going to use that one. And OK. So the average for that, for all of those who have for the country of France, will be showing up like this. If I use that one for the highest and lowest, would be the same thing, except I'm just going to change these from the average. In here we make it as DMAX, and this one is DMIN. Okay, now we have to also correct our table. In here, since I did this, this is for D1, this is correct. This one has to be D1 also, it is not. So we use that one as D1. And the lowest in this case would be also D1. So it's editing, and that's about it. And that's fairly simple. And as you can see, it's correct. If you change to Canada, it's automatically all the numbers will change based on whatever your criteria is. Let's say if it is Canada and your unit cost is greater than 5 and less than 90. It will immediately goes and finds a record for all the unit costs that is greater than 5 and less than 90. So it does its job correctly. Now for DGET, let me show you a slightly different, because DGET is a little bit different from the others. In this case, let's say we have our employees here. Let's go right ahead and just name our ranges. I'll call this one employee. And my criteria range is, in this case, EMP underscore criteria. Now, let's say I am looking for DGET. Database is employee, comma. My field that I'm looking for is the ID field. And then my criteria in this case would be EMP criteria, close parentheses, equal sign. All right, you're getting num in this case because there is nothing set up here yet. Let's say I'm looking for employee number 5. Let's pick a number 5. Okay, like Terry Gold. All right, so we found the ID, which is correct. Now let's find out the employees. So if I go this one across, and I check my formulas, my fields would be the B5 and then correct, address C5 and phone number D5. That's correct. So now if I am looking for employee number 10, that works out for that one. Instead of employee number, I'm looking for employee starts with AL. I can put in AL and then star. It should find record number 7, which is starts with Al Mooney, so it's showing up that way. Let's say if I just put in Andy as an employee name, since it's the multiple Andys that I have in the system, I will get num, #num, as my return information. That means I have multiple records that starts with Andy. So how can I zoom in? If I know something more about Andy, let's say I want Andy whose phone number ends with 1033. And he just goes in the table and finds record number 11 is Andy, starts with Andy, and also ends, the phone number is 1033. If I'm looking for Andy Smith, however, if I just type it as Andy, automatically goes and finds the record as Andy Smith. I hope you liked this session. Click for subscription. Thank you.